America's favorite national holidays afoot. It's another Zero RB Friday here on Splash Play. Of course, we got some preseason games to talk about as well, some news, and some more Jahan Dotson trade talk as well. Let's get into it all here. Of course, I'm already in a draft room. Today, I'll be picking in the 6 holes to start it off here on Zero RB Friday. And of course, going to be pot committed to eschewing every running back that comes my way. I don't care who they are. I don't want them in my face. And hey, look, new Underdog sticker with $1,000 bonus cash. We've updated it. Preseason news, though. So Jahan Dotson traded to Philly. Talked about it on stream. Got my live take yesterday. Had a little more time to think about it. Had time to do a few more drafts, see how it impacts rooms. But Jahan Dotson traded to Philly with a 5th rounder for a 3rd rounder and 2 7ths. So Eagles giving up a 3rd, 2 7ths. Pretty good draft capital to give up for the guy. We'll note that more in a moment. Luke McCaffrey had the first crack as wide receiver 3 without Jahan Dotson, but it was part of a rotation. So McCaffrey's going to have to earn his way there, though I think with the work he's put in, he's been showing up early every day with Jaden Daniels, in concert with Jaden Daniels. I think he will get there over the course of time. For right now, good signal for him, a guy who was in the last rounds. That looks like he's going about 180s based on what I've seen. So watch out for that. National reporters called Dotson the Eagles' new wide receiver 3. So they're not treating it as a depth piece. They're treating it like this is the dream best wide receiver core coming in, including Adam Schefter. So I don't know if that's the team feeding them this info. Obviously, hyperbole for reporters on the ESPNs of the world, the national reporters, it's always going to happen. But I do think it does portend him getting the full role. And last year, it's a new offensive coordinator. As we talked about, Kellen Moore. That's the big part to me that makes me feel not bad about my Dotson bags, even if it does look like the CLV is now not going to be good at it. But last year, Quez Watkins ran 23 routes per game for Philadelphia. It wasn't a terrible role. He just didn't do a whole lot with it. So that's the main thing I would say so far. We'll talk more about Dotson as we go. Of course, pick coming up here, so trying to focus on that. We're getting to the rest of the news items. Shout out to the chat, though. I see chats flying in furiously. Our guy Tyler gifting a membership already. Thank you, Tyler, for that one. Most generous man in the world. Check out his Fantasy Sanctuary streams. Subscribe over there. I think they're also trying to push to 3K subs, and eventually they're going to pass me because they're a lot smarter about this. Yeah, I get accused of knowing the YouTube algorithm. Meanwhile, I just show up and do content. I don't know the algorithm. I just do drafts. We got Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown. We're taking a lot of Jefferson lately, and I think that's going to continue here. I also feel my exposure is off on this. But yeah, I'm going to go Jefferson here. That can't be right. I know I drafted him twice yesterday, and I was already at 13%. There we go. Okay, it just didn't update. 15% Justin Jefferson right now. Taking him again at his 6th spot. I'm not knocking him down for Sam Darnold. If you are, thumbs down. Only 40 subs left. There you go. Show some love. Hit that sub button for them. Preseason news. Keep getting through it. Anthony Richardson yesterday threw a TD, a pick six. Also fumbled in 5 drives. Thought he had good humor about throwing the pick 6. Said I threw 2 touchdowns. Like, that's funny. I don't mind it. But AR, people are going to freak out about it. He wasn't really allowed to run in the preseason. He ran like once in that game. He also, again, it's the same thing as Jaden Daniels. This is about keeping these guys safe through the preseason. It's not about showing the full breadth of what he can do. And AR saw this Bengals team that entire week. They had multiple team practices before the game as well. It's really not a surprise to me that he would struggle in that game, but it's going to be up and down. I've talked about that enough here. Still going to get a lot of great fantasy production from him when he's actually able to run. And frankly, I thought the offense, I know people were down on him and how some of those plays were off. The interception, the pick 6 was more Kylan Granson's fault, according to the team. They do seem to do that a lot for AR, where they'll blame the player or the player will blame themselves or sort of keep AR clean. They did do that again yesterday. So I think AR, people are going to worry about it. I know somebody had comments in the Squirt Squad VIP channel about like AR looking bad. And it's like, yeah, it was bad. But I think if you look at the good parts, he got that ball out fast. And I thought the Alec Pierce part of it and the A.D. Mitchell part, they used both those guys well. Alec Pierce getting some yak, 1 deep play, 1 yak play, ended up with 2 for 31 overall. I was encouraged by that game, like the parts that were good. The bad parts, I get it, but it's going to be up and down with AR. Not shocking to see it all. Velus Jones in the other game went nuts with 111 rushing yards at a TD. Also had 11 receiving yards at RB. I put in passing yards. He did not have 11 passing yards, but he did have 11 receiving yards. So Velus Jones had some juice. Maybe somebody to watch out for vaguely in that backfield. Reports that the Bears are going to carry 6 RBs on their roster, which is a lot of RBs, but maybe not a great sign for DeAndre Swift. Got to think maybe 1 or 2 of them are inactive on game days, but that was the report The Athletic had. Jermaine Burton, that same game, looks solid. 4 catches for 56 yards at a TD, but no key players played for Cincinnati. Burton did, so you kind of have to treat him accordingly there. We're on the clock here. I feel like I've gotten the start a little bit more than I would expect, but I do like Jefferson and Nico, two guys who I believe are going to absolutely smash this year. So we're going to do that pairing here, a Jefferson-Nico start as we get to the rest of the news items. Today may be a good day for fourth-round T. Higgins, Joe Burrow team because of the Chase holdout continuing into the season stuff going on, which I speculated yesterday might happen. And then today, The Athletic does have a report saying that Jamar Chase, they're now expecting him to hold out and miss some games. And they talk about T. Higgins' performance and how he's been thriving as the wide receiver one. So something to note for Cincinnati. And if, Burt maybe gets on the field if Chase misses time, though. Obviously, direct backup has been Yoshevich, so Higgins gets the most work. Yoshevich probably takes over the Chase routes, as how that would go if Jamar Chase actually did miss a few games, like it seems like he may. Washington allegedly back in Brandon Ayuk trade talks, though. That was a Pro Football Talk reporting that, and sometimes they just say stuff that are the obvious thing in the hopes of it being right. So not going to say that's like really a thing, but speculated about it yesterday that when thinking through the Washington trade, that was the only thing that made sense to me. Theoretically, if Washington were back in the mix, they would have to then be talking to San Francisco, also be talking to Brandon Ayuk's reps about the contract. So you wouldn't really know they were back in the mix fully until a couple days. And if the trade happened, it would take a few days. But don't think it's going to happen still. My gut would still say that he goes back to the Niners. But with that being a bit of a weird trade for Washington and all of their public, chest thumping about how much they believe in Jay Daniels, wouldn't shock me if they were pushing the chips in for Ayuk still. Think it's like a conspiracy theory level kind of thing, but it could happen. I think it's in the realm of possibility of things that could happen, even if it's like 1 to 5%. Curtis Samuel and MVS could be good for week 1 for Buffalo, but it's quote unquote murky. So they're watching that one. Would hope both guys go. Samuel's been paying a little bit of an ADP price tag. I would still buy the dip in him. If he misses time, we're talking 1 or 2 games, really. We're not talking about even the first month. So markets are going to make him dip, especially if you have Josh Allen. I would just keep scooping Curtis Samuel personally. Jalen McMillan officially locked on wide receiver 3. Some Tampa Bay beat reporters talking to the team, giving direct quotes about that being the case. So not surprised in that one. Still do think that Trey Palmer rotates in more than people are going to want to see. But Jalen McMillan getting that one going. There we go. And Tucker Kraft getting some drumbeat for Green Bay. We've talked about him, called himself the Yak God, has had some plays there after the catch. More talk about him playing solidly well in 11-on-11s, breaking short plays with his big runs. He might be more in the mix than you want to see for Luke Musgrave, but I think they do different things. Musgrave, a downfield weapon. Tucker Kraft, good blocker, will hold up pretty well in pass protection more. The Musgrave should be better given that he's a big guy. But Kraft, more of a guy, going to get those short targets and break them, hopefully, if you're going to draft him. And there we go. That's the news for today. A little bit shorter, guys, but if you appreciate that segment, I do work here. It takes like about a half hour to do this before the show at the very least. So subscribe down below, hit that like button, leave a comment. Of course, I'm doing drafts every day here down the home stretch. We're doing them for basically the last month, and we're going to keep doing them here. Of course, thanks to our friends at Underdog, promo code SPLASH on there, and Drafters, promo code SPLASH on there. Drafts tomorrow coming up on Drafters, and that tournament's, I think, a little bit over 47% filled right now. So overlay looking more and more likely by the day, especially with that Badge Bros tournament. That is not going to help out drafters. Malik Neighbors comes back. This is fun. Have not seen him fall in a room for a while. Obviously, I do would have no issue taking Nico with Diggs, but Diggs falls to the 40s enough in rooms right now that I'm going to go Neighbors here. So a Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors start here. Little bits of value paired with Jefferson. Don't think we're unique per se, but for a zero RB start, I think this is a more unique one. I can't recall the last time I've gotten Neighbors at 30, to be honest. So I'm actually pretty stoked about that one. Oof, Mr. Poopy. Odunze was my 7th wide receiver, and the RBs were shit, so I traded him for Chase Brown. Worth it? Could be. I don't think I would say it's like a terrible, terrible trade. But if you're in Dynasty, maybe you don't want to give up on a rookie. I assume we're talking about Dynasty here. Anyway, the Badge Bros tournament, have to give those guys credit. I'm sure they came up with the concept for it. Very fun tournament. The Badge Bros tournament, if you haven't seen it yet, it's a $10 entry fee, $50K to first place in that one. The structure, I don't entirely remember offhand, but basically it's a tournament where you're competing against 6 people instead of 12. So you end up with these kind of loaded super teams. Zero RB seems to be the way to go, though I do think a lot of people are building even more balanced teams. But it seems like a fun tournament where if you want to get some more entries in, that one's probably going to fill pretty fast. Only a 140-person final for the Badge Bros tournament. So check that out. And again, promo code SPLASH on Underdog, $1,000 bonus cash there. The most bonus cash in the biz. Now it was boner cash at $250 at 1,000. Woof. I don't even know. It's like exploding, exploding dong cash. What everybody wants to imagine in their heads. There's so much blood flowing. I think you should leave sketch about the pro wrestler. 9 spot building a negative CLV all-star team. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? Rashee Rice, though, is pretty much at that price tag for a lot of people, so I get it. Cooper Kupp at 16 is pretty aggressive. He did another 2, as I've been doing every night, another 2 drafts off stream yesterday. That's why I'm at draft number 123 in BBM. Also stream draft number 185. So we're going to put up another 4 drafts this weekend. And next week, I have to get to 11 drafts to hit my record. So my 200 stream drafts in a year. So that's going to be the goal. So I guess we might, with how the fill rate's been on BBM, we might be going into Labor Day week with a little bit of draft left. So I don't know. I don't know how to handle this down the home stretch because I feel like BBM's filling a little bit slower than last year where I don't feel the pressure. It would be, yes, the $1,000 in bonus cash would be call your doctor boner cash. That's like you're passing out. You're seeing like flashing lights. All right, we got Laporta all the way back. I mean, it's fun. It's not correlated. Tank Dell all the way back. Also pretty fun. I feel like Tank falling is also something I haven't seen in a minute. Zay for the week 17 of it all would be nice. But I don't think this Tank discount happens too often. So Tank Dell. All right, so we got the Houston double with Jefferson and Neighbors. This is fun. This is fun. Yesterday, I had a Jefferson team with a Detroit double, had falling Laporta with that one in Amon-Ra, and I also got falling Ayuk with Debo. Thought that was pretty fun. This one, I'd say comparably fun. This is an enjoyable team. RB Pig in the one hole. Yeah, we'll play the gift for the one hole. Let's see what the one hole does. Got to assume he's going to go wide receiver at some point, but you just don't know with an unbadged drafter who cannot stop drafting RBs when you take CMC and Derrick Henry. And look, I like Isaiah Pacheco. I have no issue with Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's very talented, but maybe not at pick 25. Maybe not when you have CMC and Derrick Henry. Happy Friday, Spags. My favorite version of Spags. There we go. Happy to hear that. I mean, look, it's a national holiday. It's Zero RB Friday. Who could possibly be concerned on Zero RB Friday? Also, have to give the quick plug here. Again, doing a special stream next Wednesday at 8 p.m. And they're really bugging me to get people to sign up. So if you want to be on camera with me next week here, Wednesday at 8 p.m., NFL betting preview, I'll be giving my official takes here on prediction here. Link in the chat right now. Check it out. And register now because it's possible it could fill. There's only a certain amount of spots that they're going to have for it. So if you want to try to get on camera with me next Wednesday at 8 p.m., obviously I'll prioritize you guys whose usernames I know and people I know. So make sure to do that. Check that link in the chat. It's dropped right now. And check it in the chat. I'll leave it in the pinned comment too on YouTube if you're watching after the fact. All right. So, okay, Jason here saying this is his dream start. Hope you could stick with it. How does one get a badge? 500 drafts for black and 1,000 for red. So I believe where we landed last time. And mid-third Neighbors. Nice. There we go. Spend too much on money on Underdog. Yeah, look, I mean, I think that's what they're hoping for. But the Badge Bros tournament, I will say, if you're going to throw in a few for one, I think it's 50 entries. I can see doing that one. I'm unfortunately limited. My bankroll, got to make sure I'm maxing BBM. But the Badge Bros tournament, I do think is very fun. And if nothing else, you're going to have teams that are going to feel very fun throughout the year. And honestly, that tournament, with how the structure is, they're going to learn a lot about best ball and like how structure matters in that tournament in particular. It's just me, and I bring people on. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the rhyme. I don't know what the process is going to be. To be honest, like they've been like give me a lot of info about certain things and not enough info about the things I need to know. But gonna be doing it again. I'm hoping no matter what, it'll just be me talking football for an hour with you guys. So that'll be the fallback. But hoping to not make it a train wreck is the goal, and it will be streamed on the channel here on YouTube as well. So there we go. Next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Zone Shiba here, back to the streets after some time in Europe and a busy week at work. Ready for the home stretch? Hope you're good, man. Thank you, Zone Shiba. I appreciate it. All right. We got a pick coming up here. Board. Does it give me any fun values again? You know what? This seems like, but you know it is Zero RB Friday. I think we've done enough for Zero RB Friday here. AR would be kind of fun too, though. Reaching for AR less so. So here's the choices. Value George Pickens, get a share of Josh Jacobs, and betray Zero RB Friday, but he would correlate with Jefferson. Oh, I can't betray Zero RB Friday. I can't do it. I can't. So it's a holiday. People are saying how they're excited they are for this. We're going Pickens. We're going Pickens. I can't believe I'm going to be above the field on Pickens, but at least I'm getting him at my price for him. So Pickens, pick 54. We're pressing our advantage at this point. Getting Baltimore correlation for this team would be logical because we would have week 16 for Pickens correlation then and week 17 for Houston. We'll see what we can get from Baltimore. AR, and we're not doing AR. I think after yesterday's game, I thought AR had a shot to come all the way back, but apparently Frank Gore disagrees. But that was my logic, was like, I thought I could get Pickens here. AR falls 67. I get them both. We're not going to pull that off. I know. Look, it can't come out of Zero RB Friday teams with like elite QB and stuff because it does throw off what the core premise of Zero RB Friday is. But he does, again, he's been falling enough in drafts, as Razit points out. Like, I've seen AR go in the 70s lately. I had to try to push it there and just see what could happen. So I'm taking the value. I'm continuing to make my team more unique, which is really what I care about at this point. We have, again, already, 2 spots of CLV, another 6 on top of that. So 8 in total, another, let's say 8 on top of that, 14 in total, another 6 on top of that. We have 24 spots of CLV in 5 rounds. Like, I feel good about where we're going this one, even though I think there are a couple ways to go there. Talk about it up top. Again, he can't run right now. Like, he can't run. And also they're trying to get him to get the ball out fast so he doesn't take hits. So anything in the preseason, especially for a mobile QB, you have to keep that in mind. Same thing for Jaden Daniels. It's like, yeah, no shit, he's doing quick reads and getting the ball out because they don't want him to take any hits at all if they can avoid it. Got to have a little more awareness of nuance in football. I think people really overreact to stuff. But yeah, like, it wasn't a great one, but they were still good moments. Like, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for good moments for any player. You're not looking for, he made some big mistakes there. Like, yeah, timing with the tight end, it's a bad mistake. Pick 6, bad mistake. Fumble, bad mistake. Some inaccurate throws, not great. But like, for the most part, he moved the ball well. That first drive was clean. Like, I don't know. And he can't run. Like, they don't want him to run. He did throw a touchdown. I thought he looked good with Pierce and A.D. Mitchell. With the tight ends, it wasn't there. I mean, Pittman had one nice catch as well. I don't know. Really wasn't worried about it. I think if you're coming in with priors on it, maybe that's the impact overall. There you go. Jay Strez here. Thanks for the season of stream, Spags. Tell me I'm not crazy. Being 30%. You are. That's crazy, dude. Like, he's not somebody who's come up. So that would be crazy. It could work out. Odell being banged up like the entire preseason. That's a good thing for Malik Washington. Taj Washington not being able to go. That's a good thing for Malik Washington, but you're still adding in Jonnu Smith. You're expecting more production from Jalen Waddle. That's a tough one. And 30% of anybody in the late rounds is like just not where you want to be. If you have any ability to maneuver that down, I would do that now. The only way you'd want to have late would be somebody that really steams up and just gets you easy, positive CLV for all your teams. And clearly, I think with 1 week left, I don't think we're going to get that from Malik Washington, barring an injury, I guess. Set up nicely to be a mini tank. That's how many? How many are we talking? You gotta be very many. I don't think so. I think he's mostly contingent value, if I had to guess. We got this Houston bet. That would feel okay. We're at a point where taking Stroud would not be insane. We do have some insane. We have some unbadged drafters I do not trust coming up. I think we just go and get Stroud, lock down our double. We've got 6 rounds here of no RBs. We've done it, okay? This is the time. Again, I've talked about it enough lately here where there was a stretch where I was pushing QB in every draft. Now in August, when I have quality builds, I am going to go and get the QB sometimes because I don't trust guys like this dude with his 3 RBs. Like, this is exactly the kind of fucker who would take CJ Stroud unstacked, even though Kyler Murray would make more sense, even though more receivers would make sense. So you see my progress here on stream, or at least how I change relative to the time of year. 1 spot's too unpredictable. There we go. 1 spot too unpredictable. That's basically it. Odell is cooked, but he's still getting paid 10 mil. So keep that in mind. What if Dobbs or Wicks is going to demolish their ADP? Maybe. I mean, or Watson. I don't know. Or it'll just be a team where they ping pong back and forth and they end up being relatively all worth what they were priced at. Wicks is the one that's going to be the sufferer, though, I think, because he's got to climb one of Mount, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, or Romeo Dobbs. And I think those are all pretty tough hills for him to climb. All right, so he does do the logical thing and takes Kyler Murray to his credit, but I'll stand by taking CJ Stroud at 67 here. Would love the push. Could have gotten mixed in with that. Pitts with that. 50% Malik on Jesus. You guys, it's a lot of Malik. He's a target earner. I'll give you that. In Virginia, low ADOT, but it was a target earner. But I think he would need there to not be a Jonnu. He would need it to be the same situation as last year. No Odell coming in, no Taj coming in. Even though Taj has been hurt all of camp, so he's not going to get on the field anyway anytime soon. But Taj Washington, I do think, is a guy they're going to want to see on the field. They were already using him with the first team a little bit in mini camp. So I think that's a looming threat for Malik Washington. I get having stands. Like, I have stands, but it's a tough one. Point of the preseason is to get the mistakes out of the way. AR doesn't have a lot of game experience. He only played 4 games last year. Also another thing to keep in mind. While he's going through the growing pains, he has a high rushing floor to lean on. The rushing is the main thing. I mean, it's hard to run as often as these guys do, as an AR would, as a Jade Daniels hopefully will. Hard to rush that many times and fail at fantasy. Like, that's the reality of it that I think a lot of people still fail to grasp, even though we've had mobile QBs, dominating the leagues of fantasy and real life for a while now. We have a little bit of a fall for Kamara. Jacksonville-wise, nothing really makes sense. Aaron Jones is also an okay pick here. But I have been meaning to get more Kamara. I'm getting him at a discount. We can do it here. We can do Kamara. And the zero RB run here, a 1-1-5-0. Some builds out there will call it a Kamara hero. I don't think that's accurate when you have 5 receivers and a QB through 6 rounds. But we have CJ Stroud, Alvin Kamara, Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, and George Pickens. So team is soaking up value, which is all I really want to do this time of year, especially in the early parts. And hey, Kamara, I'm feeling good about it. Give me Ayuk over Neighbors no matter where Ayuk ends up playing. I think they're similar plays. I mean, Neighbors has the full runway of a team that, like, he's not competing with Debo. He's not competing with McCaffrey. He's not competing with Kittle. Going to have worse QB play. Shouldn't have terrible scheme, but will have worse scheme than a Kyle Shanahan. But I don't think, that's a smash play. The guys are in ADP ranges for a reason. Their projection / their ceiling is, all very similar. So I wouldn't really take that big of a stand on anybody in that range, really. Besides, maybe a Mike Evans. I am low on Mike Evans because he's older and he doesn't have Dave Canales anymore. Guy Adam with his AI quote of the day, which I just have to hit. It's my compulsion. It's possible to drive from here to California and stay at more or less the same motel the entire... What is this bit? What is... I swear to God. Obviously, look, this is now... I said it up top. This is the 185th stream draft I've done on the year. So we're talking, 200 hours of content. We're probably talking maybe a little bit less, but somewhere in that range, right? A lot of fucking shit starts to add up. Things get a little bit weird sometimes. What Adam Bear is doing in chat every day, I just don't get what he's trying to accomplish. I don't get what I'm supposed to take away from it. I get nothing. I don't understand. It scares me. It titillates me. I'm intrigued by it. But what is that quote? You're giving me fucking Socrates quotes, and now you're giving me that? I don't get it. Peter Schrager, top 10 breakouts announced today. Jaden Dan. Oh, Peter Schrager's got it, and we're good to go. But yeah, look, he should be number 1. He's going to break out. It's crazy to have him as a breakout. I feel like a breakout would be I don't know, year 1 to year 2 guys, or, year 2 to year 3. So you should have a rookie as your breakout. Stroud is a sprint to the podium pick in the 6th with a double stack. Do not care whatever if you can get, or whatsoever you get him in the 7th. I'd still take him in the 7th if you felt like it was a bunch of badges and you can make it work. It just happens enough times. Stroud has gone in the 80s in some rooms, and the 80% filled BBM. So I think being aware of that is important, but also being aware of the room you're in and what people are going to do around you, more important. Bowers coming back would have been really fucking nice. Why is he up? He's got a foot injury. You people hate, not you people watching this, you people here on the screen, you people hate injuries. Why is it selective enforcement of shit like this? Drives me nuts. I'll cope with that. I'm not coping with the, I'm really not worried about Dawson at all. I'm not worried about any of my teams because none of them are really the exposure of this one guy would define the teams enough. But I think he's going to be in a much better spot than people realize. And people don't get, this is a fucking new team basically with Kellen Moore out there. Kellen Moore has all the power. That was a deliberate thing by the front office. I would love to hear like Howie Roseman or Nick Sirianni talking about like, yeah, John's going to be our starter. We think he's a star. Like, I want to hear that kind of quote. I think that would maybe stop the ADP fall, but I think Dotson's going to be fine, even if the CLV is absolutely going to suffer a good amount. Aaron Jones here. We have the bet on Minnesota. I was talking about him before. Obviously, I do like some of these receivers in this pocket, but don't think they make sense for the team. So Aaron Jones is the pick. A 1-2-5-0 build here. We have CJ Stroud at QB, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones at RB, Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, George Pickens is wide receiver, no tight end yet. So I'm liking the team so far. I've gotten really nice values at pretty much the entire way, and got Stroud at ADP when it made sense. So I'm okay with it. Found out that like 20% of my dots is correlated to Hurts and Devontae anyway. Yeah, it's fine. And if you have the Washington side of it, you're correlated for week 16. So again, it doesn't really matter that much. He'll be fine. I think this might end up being, in some respects, for him as a football player, it might be a better situation. For him in terms of like having a blank canvas that he could theoretically rack up all the targets, definitely not as good of a situation, but that's fine. Fingers crossed you can land Marshawn Lloyd as RB6. I saw you put that in the beginning of the chat, Jeff, but yeah, I'll scoop him up if I need to. Certainly would make sense in this build with the Minnesota Green Bay we have going. Surprised Bowers stayed pretty much in the same range all year. Yeah. I mean, people clearly like him. They believe in him. I do too. So I certainly get it. But it's been odd, like his times where he would go up. Like when a guy's had a foot injury for a week and missed a game and missed practice, usually the markets would go, this is a time for this guy to go down. But that's, this guy doesn't seem to be the most price sensitive. He's reached for like every pick here besides Josh Jacobs. So I could get why. I guess he doesn't care. You might have watched that Pete Eric Bimeford video and gone like, ADP out the window. Just like watch the headline of it and go, yeah, I got it. We don't care about ADP anymore. And it's like, yeah, still care about ADP a little bit. All right. Zamir White would have been a consideration for me if he had come back. Thought that might have been the case with some of the FUD on him recently. With Alexander Madison's usage so far in the preseason. And Labe still, coming a little bit for him. Got a 1-2-5-0 build, though. I have to assume chewing ice into the microphone, really great ASMR. Dotson's turned into a decent bring back at a couple of my Dak sacks where Goddard got sniped. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that impact. But yeah, I probably have some of that as well. We got a falling Curtis Samuel here, but we need to make it up at RB. Jonathan Brooks was also falling, but he is now gone. What are we setting up? Giants. You got the Giants bet. Singletary, but Singletary's been falling a lot in rooms lately. Like B-Rob the most. I think I have to make it up on Pollard the most right now. So I'm going to go Pollard here. Pollard RB3 feels pretty nice. For a zero RB team to have Kamara, Jones, and Pollard, I really do like that start. All right, so team so far, 1-3-5-0. We have Stroud, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, George Pickens. So gotten value at pretty much every round at every turn. I don't know. Really nothing more I could do for a team than that, I guess. See, Dotson, yeah, we could talk about this one. Sorry. Reading the chats again. Guys, if you're watching this one, enjoying it here, subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. Your engagements go a long way for me, a sole proprietor here, just showing you my gambling, my preparation throughout the year for both best ball and NFL DFS, which will be coming basically the second we're done with best ball. We're then in DFS mode. So check it out here. New streams, I guess new streams every day, going to be continuing on through the fall. Check it out. And of course, promo code SPLASH on Underdog. And tomorrow, heading to Drafters. So if you haven't played on Drafters yet, the biggest selling point I can give you right now, very good shot of them putting in $400,000. If I had to guess, I think it might be like $500,000 they're going to put in terms of overlay, because that tournament is not filled. Their Drafters Million, which is $15 entry fee, 500K to first place. Big run on RBs here. Jesus. But check it out. I guess they were the only ones on the screen at this point, but still. Check it out. Drafters.com. Use promo code SPLASH for a $100 deposit match on there. You can draft with me tomorrow. I'll be doing a doubleheader. Only giving away 2 tickets this weekend. So 1 ticket tomorrow, 1 ticket on Sunday, but I'll also be giving away a ticket to the Drafters Million as well, which again, $15 entry fee, 500K to first place, and it's total points. You don't have to worry about the luck component of the pods, full point PPR as well. So check that out at drafters.com. Promo code SPLASH. There we go. All right. Interesting run here. Really no receivers in this area have been driven up ADP-wise. And people don't want to take Curtis Samuel at all. There's a lot of concern for his injury. I feel like if you pull up the news item and it says week 1 return possible, I feel like that would assuage maybe some of the concern here for people that are passing him up. I think, well, let's see what we get back here. All right, so he takes Spears. I would have been willing to do Spears in this RB room as well. Javonte goes. I have no issue bringing up a Jerome Ford. Wicks is a Green Bay bring back would work. Rashid Shaheed would work with our NO bet. Curtis Samuel is the one I really wanted to take, though, at that big of a value. Fucking hate a red badge before you in a room full of no badges is always the worst thing for your portfolio. Getting more Rico Dowdle would be okay to me as well. I'm just not the biggest Wicks guy in the world, but we'll take one shot at Wicks here. Got a Minnesota Green Bay bet brewing. If we don't take Wicks, it's basically Marshawn Lloyd or bust for Minnesota Green Bay correlation. So we'll do that here as our 6th receiver. And it's a 1-3-6-0 build. We got Stroud, Kamara, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, George Pickens, and Dontavian Wicks as wide receiver 6. Which I'm okay with. Curtis Samuel at 115 would have felt 10x better, I think. But correlation's okay. Watch out for this. Like, watch out as in they're going to fall on my head. That's what I'm watching out for. But yeah, Steelers might win some games with the Arthur Smith approach of just running the ball into the ground. But I think for fantasy, personally, I'm not really watching out for the Steelers too much. All right, see what we got these next picks here. Jacoby Myers would have been a valid pick as well to pair with Kamara for week 17. The issue is I really do think we just need to get more RBs and get tight end done. You got to think about who's going to be our QB3 as well, or QB2 rather. And do we do 3 QBs? Normally I would say no, but I think this team is kind of fleshed out enough at RB and receiver that 3 QB build, if I can get a 3rd game stack, would not be the worst thing in the world. Team looking good. Just have to make it up at tight end. I hope so. Why do I not like Wicks? The whole cabal. See, I'm not a part of any cabal. I think I have a little more independent takes than some of the group thing stuff out there. For Wicks, I don't like him that much. I think he's talented, but I think it's very tough to have a guy going at this range when he's part of a 4-headed wide receiver group where there's also a lot of merits to the RB room, a lot of merits to the tight end room. I think it's tough to have any guy you really cape for in that offense. Getting all of them distributed somewhat evenly would be the move, but Green Bay stacks to me are all like a little bit overpriced for kind of what they are. And I love Jordan Love as well, but like, I don't think Reed's at the correct price because then why are Wicks and Dobbs priced so highly? Why is Watson priced so highly? On the flip side, like why are Wicks and Dobbs priced so highly when those other guys are priced like they should be smashing in the offense? I think there's a lot of like logical issues with their ADPs. So it's the biggest thing for me with Green Bay. I like the talent a lot. But I tend to take the Minnesota side a little bit more because I think the prices for them, it's a clean offense, like a concentrated offense, and the prices are all fair. Like Jefferson, you're paying wide receiver 1 upside, player 1 overall upside. Addison, you're getting for basically free as a wide receiver 2. Hawkinson, you're going to miss half the year, but you're getting him also basically for free as a guy that hopefully could spike for you later. The RB's prices work. So I think the Minnesota side is more appealing. Yeah, Wicks at 130, great. Wicks is like a Josh Downs, awesome. Like that's where he should be. Wicks getting steamed up because like people just don't grasp that he's going to have a really hard time getting the amount of routes he has to have unless one of the other guys fails or gets hurt. Like that doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know. There's a couple players in the market I've disagreed with the entire time. Wicks is one of them. Like he's priced around legit like wide receiver 2s. He's a 4. In a legit 4 at that. We're on the clock here. Zeke falling back, never a thing I mind. Dalton Schultz at tight end, also never a thing I mind. I think we need RB a little bit more. Trying to get more Eckler. A.D. Mitchell, though, is going to be our last crack at an Indianapolis bring back. Well, no, we do have Alec Pierce. Fuck. Can I get Eckler in? If I get Eckler in, I'm taking Eckler. All right. Never mind. A.D. Mitchell it is. So we got a Giants bring back at this point. I think we need to get Daniel Jones as one of these stacks to build out here with our bet on Malik Neighbors. But that's our wide receiver 7. We got to be done at receiver now. Have to get RB right. Wouldn't say that was a panic click on Eckler, which is kind of realizing that I could take Alec Pierce late. I like Alec Pierce late, but I should get more A.D. Mitchell. He scored a touchdown yesterday, so we're getting him here. Team is a 1-3-7-0. Stroud at QB. Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard is our RB room right now. Need to add to that for sure. Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, George Pickens, Dontavian Wicks, and A.D. Mitchell is our receiver room. And tight end, we got nothing yet. So we'll see what we get on the way back. Hopefully something helpful. Spags, how do you get an Underdog t-shirt? Do they sell them? Do they give it after a certain amount of drafting? They give it to me because I'm an affiliate for them. I would say an influencer, but really just because I'm an affiliate for them. That's the main way they get it. They do it at like Pete's got an event tomorrow in Massachusetts for the Underdog Cardio Club. So if you're in the area and you want to run and go to a happy hour after, go check that out. But they're doing giveaways for stuff like that. So that's the way to get it. Social media giveaways, but they don't sell them. I guess they probably should, honestly, but they don't for some reason. Try to keep it special, I guess. 80 and Neighbors going to combo for 45 points week 17. Yeah, I don't know if I'd buy that one. Unless it's like 35 for Neighbors. But hey, look, we'll take the bet. The bet's the bet right now. Getting with the field on A.D. Mitchell. Higher priority for me. Reception Perception loves Wicks, and they're a big part of the initial steam too. But even they say he'll have a hard time getting on the field ahead of Reed, Watson, and Dobbs. Yeah, they're really down on Watson. I think people, if you were going to make your bet on Wicks, that's probably the one he beats out because Jordan Love really does trust Dobbs, and the team loves Dobbs. Reed is like a very good slot. Don't want to see them lose him. Really thought we'd get Dalton Schultz back, man. But I guess I can't be shocked at the guy who has 4 QBs in 11 rounds took Dalton Schultz uncorrelated. Oh my God. How is he a red badge? What are these red badges these days? This used to mean something. It used to be a sign of quality as a red badge. What a dumb shit team. Reaching for every player, 4 QBs in 11 rounds, no correlation. What did he do? Oh man. Michael Wilson up to 137. Good God. The asshole. The asshole. Unbelievable in that 10 spot. Anyway. Hey, we don't take 4 QBs in the first 11 rounds. It's going to be rule number 1 of drafting I would give to most people. Ass hat would also work. All right, so Eckler doesn't fall all the way back. Would have been willing to take him. Hawkinson in this build could be fun as long as we make it up the other positions. I think it's possible to do Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, but I don't know that's the move to make right at ADP. So I'm actually going to go Hawkinson's way. We see Jahan Dotson now updated to be in Philadelphia. So your stacks will be accurate again, no matter what tool you're using out there. So it's a 1-3-7-1 here. Hawkinson, we're going to use the bailout. Definitely have to get to 3 tight ends now. So you have to survive that first month without him. Used to have pride in my red badge. Sad day. It's been a steady stream, honestly, of really bad red badge drafts. And you still get a lot of them that are smart, that scoop up the value. Like I talked about, Frank Gorge keeps taking the value right in front of me. There are guys that are still doing good jobs who are red badges, but it now is just you can't guarantee that a red badge drafter is going to be sharp, is where we are in the ecosystem. So what are you going to do? Like Hawk and 3 tight end builds, really high weekly ceiling. Volume can make up for the missed weeks early. That's what the hope would be. I mean, I think for a late season play, when you have a Minnesota bet, I think it feels pretty good. I'm also thinking this is probably going to be a 3 QB build for me. So Even though we have Stroud, I feel like our bet at receiver is good. I think we're going to get there at RB as well. And got a lot then for 4 more spots going to tight end and QB, which might be the tough part. Let's see, because we have it's 6 more picks. No, I think that could work. 5 RB room, 3 tight ends, 3 QBs. I think we can do this. See if we can stick this landing. But Zero RB Friday, guys. Going to do the best I can to make this team a special one, as I always try to do here. So please subscribe down below. Your support goes a long way for me as sole proprietor here, to showing my work, preparing every day to make sure to talk about things as intelligently, as well thought out as I possibly can. So subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Drafts coming up all weekend as well. Tomorrow, Sunday, be in the world of drafters. Go deposit on there as well. Promo code SPLASH at drafters gets you a $100 deposit match. And McLaughlin going at 147 in this room. Guy's been falling inexplicably in rooms when his role got clearly defined in the last Broncos preseason game. He should have been coming up in the 140s. Here he does. But he's been going the 160s for me in a lot of rooms lately. Where's my McLaughlin exposure at? I didn't like him for most of the year. So that's still at 6%, but I've been buying him when he's been lower than the 150s. I think he's a good pick in that range. Charbonnet falling, really tough click to make at this point. Like, he's definitely one of those guys carrying a vestigial ADP for himself. What am I going to do at tight end? Musgrave would increase our Green Bay bet. I'm okay to keep taking Bucky. Do we just scoop Charbonnet? He does correlate with Minnesota in week 16. The issue I have with Charbonnet is really, like, he was locked in a certain price all year, and I feel like that situation has now changed. I pick 150, though. I think he's probably okay. Still feels to me at this point like he's more 10 to 15% of the workload, while, you know, for the most part being at, I don't know, 10 to 20% would probably be the best thing you could do. It's tough seeing. It's tough seeing. All right, I started checking an email here in real time, but we're going to keep moving it forward. So 2 QBs coming up for me that I would like to have. I think should be obvious if you go through the team. Maybe you can guess at home. But one would correlate with one of our top receivers, and the other would correlate with one of our other top receivers. So maybe it's not a hard guessing game at all. We take Stafford unstacked, 20 picks past ADP, and try to get Parkinson or Whittington or both late. If you got nothing left at all at the position, I think you could do that. Really depends though. Like, if you have New Orleans stuff, I would take Carr 10 times out of 10. If you have Minnesota stuff, I'd probably take the shot at Darnold. Carolina, I would still go Bryce Young. Like, if you have anything else, I would try to lean into what you already have with top players. But that said, for like a bailout, that's not a bad bailout. But it's basically got to be like you got nothing else. You got no Geno, you got no Baker. That's how that would go. If Sharps has it in him, Canales will. Why would Canales find it? Canales is going to find it from the opposite coast, coaching Carolina. Scooped a round of value on Charbonnet to draft, leverage over early drafters, so you're getting him at a lower ADP. That's true. That's true. Wow, Disley at 1. The asset is really just doing something insane here. All right. I think Bucky would help us round this team out and would probably make us done at RB. Marshawn Lloyd is still here, though going ahead of ADP for him is not the most appealing to me. Cole Kmet correlates with Zach Charbonnet, but I don't think that's the pick. Bucky Irving's would be my pick here. So a little more upside, I think. A Charbonnet to me, the tough part for Charbonnet is, like, I'd rather have a shot at Ray Davis. I'd rather take a shot at Bucky. I'd rather take a shot at Marshawn Lloyd. I'd rather take a shot at Gibson. I think Charbonnet's price tag is really not a great one right now. I don't think he's a falling knife, but he's like just not as fun of a click as he is at this point. All right. Fake ball knowledge comments in the chat are funny. Look, it's people try different things. I get it. Got Jerry here. Shout out to our guy Jerry. Appreciate him being here. Is Carson Steele the next Mike Allstott? I didn't talk about the play. I don't know what to make of Carson Steele, to be honest. Like, that was a really good run. It also was a run that was really well blocked. He did avoid some tackles on it, ran with power and all of that. That said, I think for Carson Steele, I still mostly think he's like kind of a wish casted play. I guess in round 18 as RB6 wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world to try a few shots. It's hard for me to see how he gets there. He just doesn't feel like a real guy. Beating up on backups to backups, I don't think is the thing that puts me over the top on that. I still think he's like Kyle Juszczyk, but maybe Kyle Juszczyk is getting you 5 to 8 touches. I don't know. Maybe it's more valuable than I realize. It's hard for me to just pinpoint what he is. Because like the lack of McKinnon there theoretically just opens up a lot of usage, especially if they were to cut Kadarius Toney, which Toney looked okay in that game, but like it wasn't, I don't know if it was enough to keep him on the roster. I think that's really the main thing for me with Carson Steele in that backfield. Is like I just expect it to be a lot of Pacheco overall. And then you have enough of the pass game too. So Mac Holland's a thing. See people go round 17. People are going there because he played with Curtis Samuel out. He's going to play some amount, but he's definitely behind Curtis Samuel, behind Shakir, behind Keon Coleman. So he could be a play. If you have Josh Allen, I probably wouldn't take him uncorrelated. Steele maybe RB2 in KC, but that role is also just not that valuable. It just depends on what they're doing, post the fallout of McKinnon not being there. But like RB2 doesn't mean pass down back necessarily. So like, I don't know that there's actually anything to that role besides contingent value. So, and I'm just not, I'm not a contingent value play guy. I just don't usually want to go that way. Anyone heard from the guy who maxed out BBM with 85% Claypool? Welfare check may be in order. I think he's still tweeting through it. I think he's defending the take on like the EV. It's wasn't ever a good take, but people are going to have bad takes. It happens to the best of us. So we never got Houston correlation. I think I need to make a pivot here to what I was thinking in my head. I'm going to go Isaiah Likely as my tight end for this first pick here. Have to get some bring back, or would like to get some bring back on Houston, Baltimore. There are late tight ends who I was thinking of taking. I think I might be out of the 3 QB biz because to me, tight end feels thin. 6-star B doesn't feel necessary, but would be a nice luxury. I don't know. Might have to go to 4 tight ends in this build. Let's see what we get back. Gritty is coping by replying to NFL QB tweets asking if they've signed Claypool. Oh no, that is a tough scene. Don't be a premature draft later. I mean, look, I would say that anybody that thinks they have to max their stuff out in July are probably not the people that you want to follow advice from. That's inherently just not the sharpest thing. Like, look, I'm somebody that I give away a lot of my EV because I'm doing these streams every day and all that. And in previous years, I would get so excited to draft BBM teams that I'd be drafting too many in the early part of the year. But, the sharpest people are saving as many as possible you could do last minute when you have all the info. Then ADP doesn't really matter as much at a certain point, as guys like Tyler pointed out recently in the Best Ball Manifesto after round 14 or in 14 and on. It just doesn't matter that much historically relative to the data. That's why those people draft then. So like when you see somebody maxing out in July, they're either like addict mode or think they're really sharp and are probably not sharp. And I'm not trying to like beat up on the guy, but that's what I would say. If like you see that and you're like, this guy must be a genius. It's like, probably not. The bell, the barbell drafting was like the thing that Pete had talked about, and people who were sharp drafters for years, where you draft a lot early to try to maximize your advantage. You draft a lot late to maximize your advantage when all the news is out there. So that's really what, the people who you would theoretically want to follow the most would be doing. Is Grando draftable again? He was never draftable. He's probably not draftable now. He's likely buried in the depth chart. The situation too is going to make it hard for him to earn his way back up because Mitchell's back in now. Mason is back in at the same time. Garendo's coming back in. So wouldn't draft him 20th round, maybe on one of those sites on DK drafters. But even that, probably not. All right, a couple picks coming up here. Need to get that second QB and possibly third. But they're all here, so we're okay. Marshawn Lloyd going at 182. The Lloyd, McCaffrey, Dotson negative CLV. Gonna really hurt my portfolio looking back. Still think all the bets are valid to varying degrees. But that's going to be my biggest CLV losses. Chase Brown, Jerome Ford, Bucky, probably the biggest CLV wins. Bucky CLV, though, really hasn't gained a lot. People must really hate him in some rooms. I've seen him go in the 140s in some, so he must go in like the 180s in others. All right, we got to take some QBs here. Daniel Jones being one of, well, who do people like more? We got to bet so much on Minnesota Green Bay. We actually should go Darnold first. Gonna go Darnold first. If anybody's in the room and watching the stream, I don't like Daniel Jones at all. But, but Daniel Jones would be a logical next pick here. And we'll see if we can make that happen. It's getting tight here, though. Getting tight for the 3 QB build. Yoshivas at 188. Still think that's mostly contingent value play. Slot roll for Cincinnati, probably going to be a split between Yoshivas. I think Burton's still going to get there at some point. Definitely Trent Irwin will be there. Charlie Jones has been hurt, so he might be out of the mix. But Yoshivas, to me, I feel like he reached the price tag that still never really made all the most sense in the world. All right. Gibson at 189. That's a pretty good price tag for Gibson. Gibson's guaranteed a third down role in a team that's probably going to be in trailing game scripts a lot. Oh, this guy, wait, does this guy really? This guy has 2 RBs? I did not realize this. This guy is the exact opposite of an RB pig. The thing is, his receiver room isn't even like that great for it. Oh my God, this room is batshit. Antonio Gibson is this guy's second running back. Crouper. David Montgomery, Antonio Gibson. What a bet. What a bet at RB. Well, he needed that one. He needed that share of Gibson to prop him up. Jesus. That is not how you do that either. I get with Zero RB Friday, it's a national holiday, but we still have to abide by laws and logic. Good God. He needed Tank Bigsby on the way back, too. It's funny, you really never see, like, people do that much Zero RB. Like that. Like, that's not how we do it. Celebrates a no RB Friday hard. Yeah, he took it literally. He took My God, man. There's some of these rooms that I've done this year because of doing, different timings for my drafts and such. Really think some of these rooms, if I don't advance, I'm going to be really mad at myself. I have lucked into some very, very unsharp rooms, some unserious rooms. My goodness. You should be celebrating being in rooms like that. I am. This is what I want. I want to draft teams. I want to show people it doesn't always have to be like, the hardest thing in the world. He hates RBs. Look, I don't hate RBs. I hate RB price tags. But, drafters I now got CMC. Oh, my God. Okay. Good. Good stuff, Daniel. Love to hear it. Thank you for reading me your team. Diami Brown at 195. Given how undrafted he's been, he's probably a good pick at this point. I would not draft him all the time because I do think that there is still some risk that they bring somebody else in, that he's just not that great. But he was a positive EPA receiver last year. Still don't think, he's a guy that like people think is like better than Jahan Dotson. We talked about that yesterday. It's not the same thing. For Diami Brown, though, opportunities there for him to win a role. There we go. Oh, so I have to care about your team because you used promo code Splash. To be clear, I still, okay. Awesome team, Daniel. I do appreciate it, but I still don't just want to read your team. Daniel Jones goes to pick before me. That sucks. Could go, but we're not correlated for that, though. Fucking losing Daniel Jones sucks in this one. Gonna go get Theo Johnson, though. Got this bet on Giants Indianapolis anyway. We'll game stack it without the QB. And I guess, I don't know. Guess if Derek Carr is available all the way back around, I could still take him as a third QB if I wanted. Could tack on Jalen Naylor last round. Meh. Team right now is a 2-5-7-3. We have CJ Stroud, Sam Darnold, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Zach Charbonnet, and Bucky Irving. At receiver, we got a really nice value in a 0RB build. We got Jefferson, Nico, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, George Pickens, Dontavian Wicks, A.D. Mitchell, and a tight end, Hockenson, likely Theo. Honestly, maybe this is a Carson Steele team because we have the little bet on Pittsburgh. Got enough receivers stacked with Minnesota that I don't think a Naylor is like a play that you got to have. Naylor, you hardly knew her kind of thing, you know? So it's basically how I'm feeling about it right now. Losing Daniel Jones, though, fucked it up. Because my perfect world would have been having Daniel Jones, pushing Theo to the last pick, getting Theo at 211. Don't think we need RBs. Okay, there you go. Daniel saying drafters rooms were pretty soft, I guess is what I'm trying to convey here. Okay. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. I appreciate you either way for using the promo code. So you're in my good graces. And you're the man. And you're the man, I guess. I'll take that even more. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you. And I'm glad you're getting good values. It's hard to visualize it when you just read a bunch of names, but I get what you're going for, and I get the sentiment. People should draft on drafters. I say that here every day. I even put a sticker on the screen to show you. Code SPLASH on drafters. Do like Daniel did, and you can build teams like that one that I didn't want to read out loud at drafters.com. Promo code SPLASH. $100 deposit match. We got pick coming up here. Exposure reviews at the end of the video coming as well. Stay tuned. We'll upload to Best Ball Explorer. We'll see how it goes. Alec Pierce getting drafted by somebody who's not me. One of few savvy picks, perhaps, from this spot. No, that guy's okay. The asset's the bad one. This room, though, whew, bad drafters on all sides. But we survived. By the skin of my teeth, but we survived. Fucking long draft, too. I was wondering why this is like dragging ass for me. It's fucking been a 50-minute draft. Almost an hour-long draft. Jesus. Make some fucking picks, guys. To be using your whole clock to be making picks like some of these guys have been making, upsetting, to say the least. See, third QB again. I really want to only do that if I have a game stack here. Got Minnesota, Green Bay, Houston, Baltimore. You know what? Haven't drafted this guy in a while. Taking more Justice Hill these days, but by week 17, Keaton Mitchell could be back. He will be our RB6. So final team here is a 2-6-7-3. Stroud and Darnold are our QBs. Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Zach Charbonnet, Bucky Irving, and Keaton Mitchell. The Charbonnet pick, even at a discount, just felt like we needed one more RB in there, and we got him. Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, George Pickens, Dontavian Wicks, A.D. Mitchell. And a tight end, TJ Hockenson, Isaiah Likely, Theo Johnson. Could have gone to Carson Steele there, though. Did he get drafted? He might have, honestly. No, he didn't get drafted. I got 1% Carson Steele. That's enough Carson Steele. Anyway, I'm already in a draft. Draft number 2 here. We'll update the banner. Stream draft number 186 for me on the year. BBM number 124. So we are in the home stretch of my BBM portfolio. We're going to do it. And Tyreek Hill at the 101 in this room. Let's see how that goes for him. Got 3, 4 badges in here besides me. Have the unfortunate situation of the red badge being next to me when you want to be able to soak up these guys who might do something dumb. Let's see what we get here. Good to hear I wasn't crazy for draft. To be clear, I talked about it before. Don't think it's a good pick, but it's a pick you can make if you want one more RB in round 18. Made it just in time for Zero RB Friday. Yeah, that was, thank God, the longest draft ever, and we get to do one more. For the love of God, if the people in this room can hear me, please don't make it as long as that last one. I don't want to be in for 2 hours flat. You can usually get 2 drafts done about an hour and a half. Jamar Chase fall starting to happen a little bit. He falls to pick 8. A.J. Brown right here for me, and I would love to get above the field on him. So A.J. Brown, come on down. Back where he used to go reliably. All right. What can we do here? Badge Bros drafts are quick, 20-second clocks to six teams. Yeah, I mean, that's what I would think I would do if I were to launch a new site. Like if you're going to try to do another best ball site, I would try to do one where it's like faster drafts, people get better players. I think that's exactly the format you would do if you're making a new site. But obviously Underdog, the fill rate's already pretty good on it. So people clearly excited to be doing that one. I don't draft Carson Steele because I'm afraid I'll fall in love with him. Like he's a very fun kind of player. I get it. I get the Carson Steele enamoring that people have for him, but still a guy that I would say for the most part, likely going to be thinner than you would want to see. But there is an out where it could work, I guess. It's just mostly to me going to be a contingent value kind of out. We got a pick coming up here. Also uploading my stuff to Best Ball Explorer at the same time, so we can do that when this stream ends. One last exposure check-in before our final one, I guess, coming up next week. On the clock here. Nothing, no value coming back. Just got sucked up by those guys. Debo, okay. Can keep up in my exposure to him a little bit, trying to catch up. Just another bet in a good NFC team. I shouldn't really be mad at it. It just doesn't excite me very much. But an A.J. Brown, Debo start, feel like that's not uncommon. Maybe a little bit less common right now because A.J. Brown's going about here. Debo going about here. But we're okay. Was Brown done for me? I mean, he was great last year. But also delivering packages. Both parts of those equally. It's a great day to draft Nick Chubb. Yeah, sure. Pick 140. Not in the 120s. Devon Achane going early. Can't wait to see the values this side of the board accrues that I don't get back. Nico, still one of my favorite second-round picks. Though, I like the second-round receivers a lot more than most people do. If you're building Zero RB this year, and it's important to say this on our national holiday, Zero RB Friday, if you're building Zero RB this year, I think you're going to be on much more alone than you would have been in other years where the previous year's winner did Zero RB and won. That'd be my big guess this year. It's too easy to take an RB in the first 6 rounds. If you just go receiver and you load up, I think you're going to be in a different place. I have been down the home stretch. You guys have seen me on stream. I built a lot of hero RB teams, still not opposed to a hero RB team when the pockets align correctly. But I've been building more extreme zero RB lately because of the fact that, I know I could watch the boards and you just never see anybody hit 5 receivers in 5 rounds anymore. It's impossible. A.J. Brown over Garrett Wilson in general. Yeah, I mean, I'm low on Garrett Wilson. I have Garrett Wilson in the second round. He's not the guy for me. The Jets offense is not the team for me. But he's fine. I mean, he could still hit. I still have some exposure to Garrett Wilson. I'm at, assume 4%. Yeah, 4% Garrett Wilson. I'll have my 4% exposure comfort blankie, but besides that, not happening. League Neighbors goes 23 in this room. Got him in 30 last room. Feels good to see that in real life here. And yes, remember to hit that like button. Wobby knows. Our guy Seth knows. Hit that like button. Subscribe, do all that stuff. New drafts here every day. We're at the home stretch of draft season, guys, but new drafts every day at 11 a.m. Do I like any of the Indianapolis backup RBs? I think it still is Trey Sermon. Hull didn't quit himself that well. Goodson's probably getting some pass down work. I really don't think any of them are viable clicks. They're all just contingent value really for Jonathan Taylor anyway. But last year, Zach Moss was more than contingent value. He got some work as the year went on. He became just contingent value for Jonathan Taylor. That's what I would expect for the entire backfield. I think now that Taylor is healthy and full go, as long as he's healthy, those guys aren't going to get a lot of work, which is, why Taylor is priced where he is. You want the 1-2 turn here. A.J. Brown over Amon-Ra my only first-round take. All right. I mean, it's a take. I like Amon-Ra more. Obviously, the ADPs do as well, and I'll default to the ADPs pretty much always. But I do think that A.J. Brown, the Kellen Moore of it all, I can't tell you guys enough how efficient that offense was last year for Kellen Moore with Mike Williams and with Keenan Allen. And I would say that for both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, they're both better versions of both those guys. So sure, you're adding in Jahan Dotson now, and that's going to throw things off because Jahan Dotson's going to be getting targets left and right in this Kellen Moore offense. But I think really seeing what the Chargers did last year in this offense, I think that A.J. Brown's going to smash. So I like Amon-Ra more, but I think A.J. Brown's going to smash as well. Shout out guy to Snowman here with the fellas. Appreciate seeing him here. One of our regulars. Appreciate it. Super chats, genuinely kind. And again, I keep saying appreciated, but are appreciated and genuinely kind. There we go. AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore. DJ Moore, I've not gotten in a while. There was one point where I was at 16% DJ Moore, and now I'm never in a spot to get him because he goes a little bit before me. So 3-pick discount here. And AJ Brown, Deebo, DJ Moore start. I'm happy with it. No correlation. Taking the Sun God over AJ Brown all day, then you agree with the market. So I think both are reasonable takes to have. Dotson's a 6 dots offensive piece in his own offense. I wouldn't view it that way necessarily. When teams cover better players, lesser players get open. And the teams will sell out to stop AJ Brown and Devontae. It doesn't mean that he's as good as them, but it does mean that you benefit from the fact that you have really good players around him. The teams have to do more to stop. And Dallas Goedert at tight end, kind of regressed last year. But I think you have to throw a lot of the prior suit of the Philadelphia offense out. You still have Jalen Hurts. He's probably not going to throw a lot of RB passes. Maybe Saquon makes them force that a little bit more. Besides that, it's going to be more dropbacks, more play. You just want to be a part of a high quality offense. So he's going to be that. I think for Dotson, I said it before, I think the floor for Dotson's gotten a lot worse. The ceiling is still probably the same. Just going to be, he's going to have less routes to get there. And for somebody who's been efficient, you should be concerned about it. But I do believe in coaching and talent, and teams are going out of their way to get a guy. They went out of their way to get him. It also might be a thing that nobody's commented on. Johnny Wilson's had a concussion. I don't think his return from that concussion might be a reflection on his concussion being worse than it seemed. Would be my guess too, potentially. Shout out our guy Donnie, Spags, my brother, finally catching a live one. Glad to see you here. Thanks, Donnie. Appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys watching live. A lot of people watching live, so hit that like. Let's see if we can stick this landing down the home stretch. We got Jalen Hurts coming back. Hard to feel bad about that. Really value-wise, nothing else here makes a lot of sense. If there was something value-wise to scoop up, I would do it, but there isn't, so I'm not going to. It's how this feels. So Jalen Hurts, elite QB here. Still technically zero RB Friday here, and we're fulfilling that goal with Jalen Hurts at this point. So Hurts stacked up with AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore. Jalen Hurts, one of the few elite guys. I think I'm still in the hunt to be with the field one. Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to be nowhere near the field on. Josh Allen, I'm close. I can get there with Allen if I wanted to. But Hurts is the one to me that I feel the most comfortable taking because you have his stack partners right here. Sometimes you get Jalen Hurts. There's nobody better as a play. That's why I have a little bit more Jalen Hurts than one might expect, given I'm just not the hugest on Elite QB. Elite QB helps your median projection, does not help your Week 17 run out necessarily. Going to be a tough start for all Eagles when my Paca hang a fat 0 on them. I don't think you're going to hang a fat 0. Unless Brazil gets the better of them. Guy Jason here just popping in to say hit the like button, subscribe, and go sign up for Probably. Yeah, please. Probably needs it. I have to put out my call to arms in the Probably email today, just being like, hey, we're out of funding. This is going to go down if you guys don't help us out. But that's coming today, so can't wait to do that one. And of course, if you want to invest in Probably 5K to more, please let me know. My sports betting app Probably, DM me if you want to get into the sports betting business and take advantage of me needing help keeping it afloat. Let me know. Love the bit where you do this every day. People are still surprised how bad people are at this. Yeah, look, I still tend to think that there's a lot of sharp drafters out there, and there are a lot of sharp drafters out there. But now, because I'm not seeing it on stream every day, and you guys kindly enough have allowed me just to gamble without having to people trying to get their username on screen every single day. Now I'm drafting against just regular people. And regular people aren't as sharp as the people I've been drafting with in this community on streams with Pete for the last 2 years. So it is a different, change of pace for me for sure. Lamar went for 38 week 17. Did he win BBM? Or was it Jordan Love putting up less points? Lee QB again. QB flattens out pretty big. The floor and the ceiling of QB get a lot flatter than any other position. You can't have a round 18 wide receiver compete with a number one, wide receiver, really. It's going to be really hard to do that. Puka Nacua being the exception last year, obviously, but that doesn't happen very often. For QB 32 can compete with QB1 in fantasy points in a given week just because of how position works. So that's That's the point. You want a DK Mill? Okay. But again, the point is that still the biggest tournament out there, the one with $3 million, he did win. He did win not with Lamar. So you didn't have to have Lamar to win that. Not saying elite QB is bad. The point is just that you can get similar points and make the team flow better with QB later on. I get the logic. I understand the elite ceiling, but you're paying that's baked in. They have to do that for you, basically. We got Christian Kirk falling back here. A little bit of a discount. Keenan Allen to increase the Chicago bet. Chicago with Philadelphia would not feel bad. Keenan Allen, too, had a little bit of a PRing for himself, where was it Courtney Cronin, I forget her last name, who's the Chicago beat reporter. 32 Beat Writers has it on their Twitter if you missed it. I think they did an interview with her. And basically, she was talking about how, like, people worried about Keenan Allen and being fat, like, how wrong they are. Basically saying, like, in this week in practice, he was, like, busting all the DBs' asses, and, like, to the point where those guys were, like, defeated. So it was a pretty big cosign by her that Keenan Allen is not somebody to worry about. The route running apparently looking just as good as ever. But, you know, this is somebody who's a beat reporter who's going to say nice things about players to try to help them out so that they give her more access. But the one thing she said vocally to try to make it seem like it's foolish that people would think like, oh, this guy is not going to be anything other than great again. What percent of Hurts teams don't have A.J. Brown or Devontae? Any value anything different with Hurts on a couple teams in your portfolio? I would still think there's a good amount of him because he goes unstacked a lot. And sometimes he goes entirely unstacked. You got to really believe in Jahan Dotson, I think, at this point, would be what I would say. You probably got to go Goddard and Dotson. Do you want to do that instead of one of A.J. Brown or Devontae? Probably not. Hard to imagine those guys not hitting as well. So you don't want to, I think you don't want to lose the parlay for a 1 week sample in week 17. I get the game theory logic of it. For the season, you're probably suffering. And you're paying a pretty big price tag for Jalen Hurts to then not cut the parlay. If A.J. Brown smashes, if Devontae smashes, if both smash, then you're really kind of skiing uphill on that one a little bit. I've definitely seen a lot of unstacked Hurts. When the Devontae drafter's here, A.J. Brown drafter's here, there's been enough times where the Hurts drafter goes somewhere in here. But yeah, obviously different rooms. Jaden Reed coming back here. Kirk at 63, so maybe a little bit of a buying window for him. Kittle would increase our SF bet, which we don't. We have our QB. I think Jaden Reed as a discount is probably the move here. Just trying to catch up on him a little bit exposure-wise. Kittle I like, but we're not going to build out a Purdy stack when we have a Chicago double anyway. And those guys go in the same QB range. So it's a 1-0-5-0 team here on Zero RB Friday. Get fulfilling the promise of a Zero RB draft. We got Jalen Hurts as our rare elite QB, though I do have 7% of them, so I'm basically with the field. A.J. Brown trying to get above the field on him. Debo trying to get with the field on him. DJ Moore, I've lost him, even though I was really heavy on him before. Just haven't been getting him at ADP. Got him with Keenan Allen here. Jaden Reed as well. I'm happy with this build. Play either last year or before they were calling it fat in preseason, so the fat thing may be a myth. Yeah, it was Fat Lenny, and Fat Lenny, in fact, did start to immediately curve. He's now not in the league. So, like, I don't know. But I do think the Fat Keenan thing was more of like a memeing than anything else. And then having the big beard, too, doesn't help him out. I feel like Rome goes ahead of Keenan straight up in drafts these days. What's your take on Bears wide receivers? It's clearly Keenan Allen ahead of Rome. People like Rome more because he doesn't have the fat FUD, but Keenan Allen's a pro receiver. He's going to command targets. Like, I would still favor Keenan over Rome. I get why people wouldn't, but based on the preseason usage, like, it's clearly Keenan ahead. And Rome's biggest plays have come against, third team. Like, it's not like he's flashed that hard. So I still like Rome. I've got, enough Rome. Got 6% Rome. I've come down a little bit on him, I guess. But he's, he's not buried like Troy Franklin or anything. He's not buried like I guess Leggett's getting less buried. You're gonna say Troy Franklin. You can say the one that matters most to me. He's not buried like Troy Franklin or anything, but he's not, he's not a full-timer in the way that you want to see necessarily yet. To me, he probably needs one of Moore or Allen to go down to have. Honestly, he might need one of them to go down to pay off his price tag, but he could still spike relative to his range. Top 10 draft capital about for talk. That doesn't mean you just get targets. It's not how that works. Again, he's going to play behind both guys. Every preseason indication we've had is him playing behind both guys. Still going to get enough reps to be valid, but he really shouldn't be coming up. He's coming up because of the fat Keenan Allen thing. Like, that's the reason why. I'm going to send you my all-world Jenny Craig team for review with Fat Lacey, Fat Lenny, and Fat Keenan. Fat Lacey played well for a long enough period, but again, then at a certain point, it was unsustainable. What do we have on the board here? A little bit of Christian Watson value going. All right, he's gone now. Not a value-laden room here. Hate to see it. I'm getting spoiled by soaking up a lot of value lately in rooms, especially in those nighttime drafts. Carson Steele in the flex and the thick team. Well, he's more like lower half thick. I think he's fat, though, is he? Guess I haven't seen enough. Jameson Williams to be done at receiver is kind of appealing, though it does limit our flexibility to maybe game stack Philadelphia more. Aaron Jones, cozy click here. Jalen Warren, a falling player. Ferguson, interesting, actually. We're going to get the Oppo correlation for week 17 with Ferguson, and keep not taking RBs for one more round. I'm okay with all these guys, but Jalen Warren kind of falling down a little bit here ADP-wise. Mostert I could reach for. Aaron Jones, I've got enough of Jones and Ramondre. It's not the pick for me. Forgot about Lacey. How could you forget about Lacey? He was legitimately a very heavy set man. He was a man who you'd almost find it hard to believe he's a professional athlete. But he was. And he was pretty good with it. Well, Jeff digging deep for all of them. Kelvin Benjamin, another famous one. Jamarcus Russell, another famous one. It's hard to think of him offhand. You're doing a great job with it, though. Usually feel way better with Ferguson on my Hurts team than Goddard. I would agree. And frankly, I know, again, people not big on Dotson. Adding Dotson does not help out Goddard's target share either. Really doesn't, because he was basically the wide receiver 3. Now you're talking 3A, 3B if Dotson is anything. And again, I think they're trading for the guy for a reason. I think Goddard, to me, is a little bit of a worse play. Still same upside, and he really wasn't a floor play for me anyway, so maybe that might be the wrong way of viewing it. But he is, like, to me, if you're going to go game by game and say this guy guys to score like 8 points for you, I think it's a little bit harder for Goddard to do that if Jahan Dotson is an every down wide receiver 3 who they want to have a concerted effort to get the ball to. You're going to take some Moss and Brown at this point, and have they changed? I still like Brown more, but I take less Brown because Moss is now cheaper. Jaden Daniels goes 87. He wasn't a consideration for me, but he has won always in general. We got the Chicago bet. I do like Jalen Warren, but DeAndre Swift makes more sense for this team. So I'm going to go DeAndre Swift here. Making a bet on 2 Chicago receivers. We'll make the bet that Swift rises with that tide. Even though the 6 active RBs for Chicago thing, or 6 RBs making the roster for Chicago that the Athletic has, doesn't fill you with joy for Swift. But, you know, depth on a team that is clearly wide receiver heavy. Get why they would do that. Remember picking up the refrigerator Perry as an RB? I don't think that if people were playing fantasy in the 80s. I think that was that when you were mailing scorecards back and forth. See that one for you, Kentucky QB that went to the what? Oh, Jared Lorenzen. Jared Lorenzen's dead, I think, unfortunately. But yeah, well, Jared Lorenzen, also the guy who introduced my old boss Dave Portnoy to the people who invested in him at the Churning Group, which is a fun fact, very weird fun fact. I don't know how they knew each other, how Jared Lorenzen knew those guys, but yeah. But he was a lot of fun. The Hefty Lefty, Jared Lorenzen, I believe, was the nickname. Is Brooks untouchable in season-long scoring formats? Just needs to be in the right structure, right? Everything's right structure. Everything's right structure. Rip Hefty Lefty. Yeah. No, I didn't. I don't think you were making fun of him. I didn't. But it's shocking to hear the very heavy set guy, I believe, died of a heart issue of some sort. But yes, he did. Take care of yourselves. If you are hefty lefties out there. Is adding an RB to a team onslaught positively or negatively correlated in single week? Got season-long correlation for a good offense, but no gut intuition on single. I mean, theoretically, being a part of a high-scoring game environment helps him out. In DFS, you don't usually want to do it, but like just capturing the, let's say Chicago-Seattle goes for 70 points, and then we see a passing touchdown for Moore, passing touchdown for Keenan, 2-1 running touchdowns for Swift, couple on the opposite side. Like that's where you want to have. So the game environment in a single game, just in the pure DFS of it all, wouldn't look good, but for best ball, to be able to corner that market on one game and hope that it hits is the valuable part. And can still hit. But in like a smaller sample size of things where like the game goes to, if Chicago scores 21 points, the correlation is going to look less good overall. But you're playing for the flip side of that. You're playing for the upside portion. Lamar's the anti-Keenan, comes into camp 20 pounds thinner this year, which puts him at the same weight as Jaden Daniels. But Jaden Daniels is too skinny, according to some people. Weight for football players really only matters to me as it relates to their combine times. Like that's where the size matters. How athletic are they relative to their size? Especially like, if Bucky hits this year, if Bucky Irving hits, I think at RB, we have to really rethink how we've been approaching RB because Bucky and Gibbs to a lesser extent, but though Gibbs is right there. These guys wouldn't have been players you'd want to draft historically. And clearly they might be both this year. Dobbs, no, well, we do have Green Bay going, but no need stacking that up further. Getting Caleb with the double we have makes sense. I would like to get another RB in. Ooh, pushing it around the bend. I just don't trust these fuckers. Really, whenever I see a corner where it's just unbadged drafters, I simply can't trust it. Going Caleb Williams here for QB2. Right at ADP. Normally, would want to push him around, get one of these RBs in, but we're not going to do that here. Kills me not to do it. But hopefully we'll get one of these four guys back. Size doesn't matter, but maybe not according to some of the wives out there. Hopefully. Hopefully for everybody's sake. Yeah, I don't know if this is really get your guy season. I took Caleb Williams at ADP instead of trying to squeeze value out of it. I don't know if that would qualify, but if you wanted to, you can. People dismiss Worthy as too little while happily taking Dell in round 3. Wild stuff. I mean, Worthy is now at round 4, so, it's not too dissimilar. Zach Moss goes first here. I have not seen Chase Brown not going around 100 in a while. Got to be specific to this room more than it is like a sentiment thing, if I had to guess. All right, looks like we're going to get one of these RBs back. Tyler Lockett would also be okay for Chicago-Seattle correlation. But I don't think we want to keep pushing RB too much further with only one guy at this point. Zero RB can work, but it works a lot less well when you push RB a little bit too far. All right, Lockett goes. Good. So no temptation there. You can live without that. All right, Chase Brown goes. Would have happily scooped up Chase Brown. All right. Tyjae Spears. Nothing here correlation-wise that makes sense. Not going to go up and get one of the Dallas backs. Could use a little more Singletary, I guess. But I don't think we need to split that tiebreaker right now. I'll go Tyjae. So second RB coming in here, zero RB Friday. We got a 2-2-5-1. Got Jalen Hurts and Caleb, DeAndre Swift and Tyjae Spears, A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed, and a tight end, Jake Ferguson. So got ourselves a game stack of Philadelphia, Dallas. We got Chicago going with no Seattle yet, and nothing else mini stacked here. So we're okay. We soaked up as much value as we could in this room, I guess. Not a lot of it. Why are people limp on Josh Jacobs? 3 down back with no competition. He does have competition. He's got Marshawn Lloyd coming for him any day now. Just got to be a matter of him getting healthy. But even if he doesn't go, Emmanuel Wilson's had enough of a decent camp that he might be in the mix. Look, Jacobs is, I think, an okay pick. The issue to me is the price tag. He should be priced more around the mix-in range if it were up to me. Instead, he's priced kind of in between no man's land here. James Cook is a much more, I think, solid independent play. But yeah, That's the best way I could say it, is that they were pretty pronounced in how they were talking about their Marshawn Lloyd usage before Lloyd had the hamstring injury. You have to assume they don't want to use Jacobs to the full extent that a team would use him, especially like the Raiders used them in the past. So that would be the reasons why, but I don't think he's a bad click. Just not a click I make very often. Definitely prefer Moss and half-point PPR, Chase and full PPR. Honestly, I think they're going to get similar amounts of pass game work. I don't think they're that different. But more touchdown upside for Moss, though, so I think that's fair. Really like Jacobs, had him last year. Well, I don't know why you like him then if you had him last year. I think Love is going to spray it around. That's a fair way to look at it, too. Definitely a lot of passing going on in that offense. Like, I think Jacobs is a fine player. And at this point, with how Marshawn Lloyd has missed the entirety of games where he should be out there showing that he can earn a role. And A.J. Dillon, too, also has a stinger, which is not great given that he had another spinal stinger kind of injury at the end of last year. It is a scene where Jacobs can hit the nut run out for himself. But in terms of playing for week 17, I just find it hard to believe that Marshawn Lloyd's not in the mix doing something. He's my biggest bet of the year, though, so I'm in the bag for him. But that's mostly how I feel about it. A.D. Mitchell scores 1 touchdown. Of course, now he has to go in the 120s to a guy without AR. Really thought Alec Pierce showed enough of why A.D. Mitchell's not really locked into a full role, but again, he scored a touchdown. People love that. Low-key worried we might see Dillon retire and just go to media. I mean, the second spinal injury is not great. Yeah. But he's not back practicing yet either, right? I don't think so. I think Benny's our guy in Wisconsin, right? If I'm remembering correctly. Jacobs was basically the exact same player as Zamir White. He was so much... I mean, I hate when players were really good one year and they go to shit the next year. Zamir White was basically just as good as Josh Jacobs last year, first of all. Second part of that, the year before last, Josh Jacobs was great. He had one of the highest avoided tackle rates in the league, was doing well. He also had the Raiders being one of the best offensive lines in the league relative to a lot of those metrics. So this past year, he didn't have that. He cratered down to earth. Guys who just kind of go with the whims of offensive line, for the most part for me, not really the backs I want to invest in. That said, he's going into a decent one in Green Bay as well. So, like, he's an okay click. It's just like there are reasons to have the concern for him is what I would say. Maybe DeMarco Murray 2.0. Possibly. I think he's a little bit younger than Murray was, but not dissimilar players. Are we sure Lloyd avoids IR? That would be pretty unlikely, I think. They could have on the PUP list to start the year, I guess, but I don't think they would. But it's a possibility. It doesn't really matter at this point. He should be your wide receiver 6, or your RB6 rather. And in most builds previously, he should have been your RB4, 5 at the worst. So I don't think it matters that much. We got Zeke coming back here. Again, I will keep buying Zeke as long as he's available. He's going to get touchdown opportunities. If he sucks, if he's too old, that's going to happen. But a reason this guy didn't play a single snap in preseason, they're saving him up. Zeke is going to be here as my RB3, trying to bail out a little bit from this zero RB build that was zero RB even by my usual standards. We'll see what we get on the way back from these guys. Give the team a read after this next click here. Top 3 week 17 game stacks. Love Cardinals, Rams, and Commanders, Falcons. Those would be 2 of my top ones. Ravens, Texans, hard to stack at ADP. I mean, you get Tank and Zay a lot. You can get Henry if you wanted with those guys. You could certainly get Andrews and Lamar with those guys. So I have more of that overall. With the Best Ball Overlay tool, which I haven't plugged today, but with that tool, you can get a lot of different stuff there, different looks at your playoff stacks. I think Best Ball Explorer might have a tool, but the Best Ball Overlay tool is the way I was looking at it on stream earlier in the year. You can see all your Week 17 playoff stacks, your mini stacks as well. So check that out if you want to check those numbers for yourself. BestBallOverlay.com, promo code SPLASH. And of course, the data I have on the screen, you might honestly only want it for this last week of drafting. Your exposure's on the screen, Week 16, Week 17 matchups, obviously, in a big part of it. Check it out at Best Ball Overlay. But yeah, those teams would be very similar to mine. Arizona Rams, I probably have less of, but I still think is one of the best, most appealing ones. I've obviously talked to death about MHJ and Puka being the combo that can win everything. We have a 2-3-5-1 here. Not really an RB pocket. Dotson does correlate now, but at ADP, that feels stupid. I'm going to go Pat Freiermuth here, assuming I got this click in. Be done at tight end, I feel like, with Ferguson and Freiermuth. Just didn't want to commit to Jahan Dotson ahead of ADP, knowing what the situation is. So, and this is obviously my last week ranks as well are showing on the screen right now. Dotson to me right now, I would have around 155-ish if I had to guess. Let's give this team a read. Again, we got to stick RB, but that just wasn't the spot for me to go up and get an RB. We have Jalen Hurts and Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, Tyjae Spears, Ezekiel Elliott. At receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Debo, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Jaden Reed. And at tight end, we have Jake Ferguson and Pat Freiermuth. So we have our Philadelphia-Dallas game stack. Nothing on Chicago-Seattle. That's basically it. Could have gotten Charbonnet for Chicago-Seattle. Just like, what does that do for me, really? I don't think a lot. This team might still be live for a third tight end if I want to get Seattle correlation. We'll see how that goes. Vegas said weird stuff in the preseason of the year. Jacob smashed, so not sure why everyone's so worried about Zamir this year. Yeah, that was more though. I mean, that was different. It was like they were worried about Jacobs even playing in the Hall of Fame game when the starters weren't playing and how long he played in the game. But then they didn't play him again in the preseason, I think, after that. It's different from a guy playing with the starters, but also Madison playing with the starters. Not quite the same situation. It was weird. And it was also, that was a different team too. Different coaching staff. When different coaching staffs do things, don't carry it with the team. Like, cause it's all comes down to independent coaches and what they do. But love Jake Bobo. I will not take Jake Bobo. I did him once on drafters, I think, and that was it. Mostly as a bit. If you can't get Puka MHJ, is Cup an okay one to go with him? Or would you prefer Kyron? Either are fine. I mean, Puka MHJ to me is just like the best one, but any combo of a week 17 game where the guys are going to have a projectable upside, theoretically you could see where the teams are competing for playoff spots in week 17 and they maybe have, the ability to put up 50-point over-under. Those games, you could stack up anybody you want. I mean, you can do it in any game really, but in particular, those ones, take the RBs, take the wide receiver 2, take the tight end, take like whatever. Wide receiver 3 for the Rams. Honestly, wide receiver 3 for Arizona, I don't mind either, but you can take whatever you want. You got to keep it in mind. It's like a priority thing where, the most likely thing to hit are the guys that are going to project the best. So for Arizona Rams, that's going to be Kyler, MHJ, Puka, Cup, McBride, probably. That grouping. Everybody else besides that grouping, you're hoping can hit as leverage against those guys. So that's where you're talking to Marcus Robinson, Whittington, Colby Parkinson, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch. Like you're hoping then those guys, and including the RB, so probably should have included Connor in the group that you expect to hit. That's basically how to view it. Is like you're either getting the best version of that game stack or getting a lesser one. But for many stacks, especially like any week 17 correlation, good to have. Our guy Red Spike here signed up lately. A nice addition to the community. Glad to see him. Drafters Flash bonus weekend. I'm sure we'll be talking more about that tomorrow as well. But drafting drafters here on stream. Use that promo code SPLASH on drafters. Go take advantage of that Flash bonus because they are hard up. They're desperate trying to fill that tournament. So check it out. Drafters.com. $100 deposit match with promo code SPLASH right now. And of course, supports the show and supports your bankroll. So a win-win. It's the best bonus you're going to get out there right now too. There aren't like better ones. We all have the same one. Same as Underdog and their $1,000. All right. Don't need a QB2. Jahan Dotson's still here begging to be correlated. You do need to make it up at RB. But a lot of the guys that I would make it up RB with are gone now. Even Bucky. Bucky won the 140s in this room, which is a little bit tough. What is this guy doing? Okay, takes Luke Musgrave. We're going to go Chuba here. Again, Chuba, a bet. Still do expect him to lose out to old Jonathan Brooks over the course of time. But at this point here, need to make up some projection at RB. He works for this build. So 2-4-5-2 right now. Read the team again. We got Jalen Hurts and Caleb Williams at QB. DeAndre Swift, Tyjae Spears, Ezekiel Elliott, Chuba Hubbard at RB. A.J. Brown, Debo Samuel, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed are receivers. At tight end, Jake Ferguson and Pat Freiermuth. So team not as matchy as I'd like to get, but we have some opportunity to add some more guys here to make it at least make sense position by position. The draft capital buckets, we can fill them up. Dotson again, going mid 150s. I think that's the new price tag for him. Which is still a little bit of a show of faith, I guess, for his role. He's not falling straight to Quez Watkins land. All right. Oh, please stop using all the clock. This has been a long day of drafts because these guys keep using the entire clock to make Braylon Allen their click. Oh man. I hate this. This is my least favorite part of streams where it's like you make the point you have, you don't have a new point left. You just want to get to the next fucking thing, and then you can't. Then you're trapped. I'm going to go Noah Fant for third tight end here. I just want to get some Chicago-Seattle correlation given how big our bet is on Chicago and Seattle. And also the receivers that I'm going to take here and RBs are all late guys. So that's how we're going to handle it. Thoughts on slow drafters? The worst. The worst on stream. It's there, right? Like, you know, it's better than people who are in a literal slow draft and like the people who use an 8-hour clock even for like the first pick, the second pick, because they're hoping to capture some injury news or whatever. Those people I would say are probably the worst out of like the entire food chain. When you're on a stream and people are like using 30-second clocks to make the same pick that was on top of the board or just like a stupid click that doesn't really do a whole lot. That's what I'm just like, oh, come on, man. Like it's in a perfect world, every draft would be 40 minutes, I think, 45. But I get it. You know, you got to think about stuff sometimes. And for me, I use up clock too sometimes where it's like I'm making a point here, talking about a player, explaining why I'm about to do something. So I'm sure I give it back to him in that respect. But, you know, I'm creating content. It's give and take. That is the worst. Timing out and auto-drafting your guy, certainly the worst combo of feeling. In terms of consideration, though, the worst one is definitely the people that, like, will take the entire clock in a slow draft, if I had to say. Should do IPA Friday like Ratcliffe so you at least start drinking. I do that on the weekends. So I don't know if I'm going to have beer before tomorrow. So might not have a chance to make a beer run. But I usually do that on weekends on doing my drafters drafts. That's how we keep it special here on the weekend. An 11 a.m. beer. What a treat. It's like Montgomery at 6:01 from the 12 hole. Is that leverage against the Gibbs at 12 drafters? Maybe. Not really. I don't think you really, I guess you want, I see what you're going for there, but enough things change throughout the course of a draft. You're not getting like direct leverage on your exact lineup necessarily. Not a bad thought process though. I don't think you're crazy for thinking like that, but it probably doesn't matter that much. With how best ball is and the randomness of it all, like you don't really need micro edges like that quite as much. Because like the odds of the exact lineup somebody else has, but you have Montgomery and they have Gibbs and you have like an extra receiver early. They have a receiver or something in that same slot as Montgomery. Like the odds of that being the exact combo you need to hit is just so unlikely. You just got to worry about getting yourself shots on goal for the, you know, the general kind of overview. I'm always looking at my playoff cheat sheet before I click. Sorry for being the problem. That's why you got to get the best ball overlay tool or one of those, or just memorize it. Like at this point, I know week 17 and week 16, I think. I knew week 17 like immediately. Week 16, I got just through osmosis from doing it every week, I think. Good old Philadelphia, Washington, week 16. Chicago, Detroit, right? Yep, Chicago, Detroit. Seattle, Minnesota, I forget. I do forget that's a week 16, a good amount. Marshawn goes 175. Of course, the time where really could use any RB coming back to me. We are in fucking no man's land at RB. Holy cow. Really well-balanced team, but this is going to have to be a unique ending here. Which, this is the time to do it. Time to scroll the F down as these last 2 weeks of drafts. All right, so we got a Philadelphia, Chicago. So we're going to get, I think Tolbert went, right? Tolbert already fucking went. My God. Greedy little boys. Green Bay, Minnesota. All right, Naylor's going to be one of the picks here. Give us some Green Bay, Minnesota micro correlation. I think DeMarcus Robinson, a valid pick as well, but I've got enough Robinson, and I'm going to do some weirdo receivers and RBs down the home stretch here. So Naylor, one pick, correlating with Green Bay as our wide receiver 6. I don't think Naylor's a good wide receiver 6, to be clear, but this room has been awful. This has been why does everybody want Carson Steele on a fucking team? Not every team has to be a Carson Steele team. Justice Hill would work. We needed a 6 receiver more, and people like Naylor enough that I would like to get him in. Mims still going at 180. Mims probably an 18th round pick at this point. God, I really don't want to do my rankings for next week because I'm just going to have to fucking knock down a million guys for 5 days of drafting, basically. Gainwell, I do think it makes sense. Still worry a little bit about the Will Shipley of it all. Kendra Miller, no. Jordan Mims would be more of a play than Miller, I think, at this point. All right. I'm going to get Justice Hill here just to make it up at RB. A guy who's got a roll. We're going to do that. Probably should have taken him ahead of Naylor, but I wanted to get him as wide receiver 6 in because I don't think I have any Naylor. It's my first share of Naylor. Naylor's price has been hard for me to pin down lately. Miles Sanders is not in play for me now. Like how all my teams are Carson Steele teams, 100% Carson Steele's too light. People just really see like one good play and they're like, this is going to be the game changer. But like, look, it was a great run. I get it. I get the concept. But, you know, that's not it. Yeah, we don't care about early work. We care about week 17 work. Early work doesn't matter. Usually you want to be as thin as possible early on so you spike for the playoffs. It's the whole goal. Get through week 15, week 16, and have it all correlate together and come together in week 17. Miles Sanders scoring, even if you fucking hit 20 in week 1, and then, you know, the rest of it was just Miles Sanders last year, wouldn't matter for you. Carson Steele's 2025, Chase Brown. I don't see it. What I see is Kyle Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk with maybe some Mike Allstott thrown in if we're just going to compare him to white guys. Who would he be if we weren't comparing him to white guys? Mike Boone. I see some Mike Boone. Mike Boone's got some upside. Yeah, I think you're looking for reasons for Miles Sanders outs, which is not. He wouldn't get traded. Nobody wants him. He would get cut and then go somewhere else. But this is what happened last year with Leonard Fournette and for Kareem Hunt. And like Kareem Hunt ended up hitting relative to whatever that outcome was. Didn't work out that well. People just chase this stuff every year. And it's like, you're better off not worrying your portfolio about this guy who we know just shit the bed completely last year. Let's hope that he gets another outcome with another team this year. Usually not the way to go. Yeah, you don't need to defend 2%. 2% you can live with. 2% of a lot of shit. It's fine. Oh, one play that sets Carson Steele's draft capital? Sure. I could see that. He runs a 4.75. He's a blocker. I mean, he's legit a blocker. He's a guy that in another life would be like a middle linebacker. Maybe even in this life, if like things had taken like a slight pivot, would be a middle linebacker. Javian Sanders at 194. Okay. Also, Carson Steele to me, more of a QB name. QB name, though Carson is really the part of it. Like every Carson's a QB. You got Carson Beck in this class coming up. Of course, Carson Palmer, my old boy. First guy I saw in college football when I went to USC, Carson Palmer. Won us the Orange Bowl against Iowa. It's a great time. I'm going to name my son Steele after Carson. I mean, Steele would be a cool name. Got to be some Steeles out there, you would think. Naming him after, like, the mother's maiden name. Oh, yeah, Carson Wentz. How can I forget Carson Wentz? That went south, but classic QB name. All right, we got, boy, a lot of QBs left. All right, we're done at tight end. RB and receiver still an option. Do you want to dig down the Dallas chart for Philadelphia? I'm going to take a rare share of Ryan Flournoy. Is getting some camp hype. I'm just adding in random receivers here because Tolbert went way too fucking early. Trying to get some Dallas correlation. I hate this end game for my team, by the way. This has been like a shitty one. I have to admit. I think we're okay. Like the top 5 receivers are so strong. Like I'm just adding on guys purely for week 17 correlation at this point. The top 5 will carry us through. That's the hope here. Well, I mentioned earlier how live is Luke McCaffrey now. Yeah, I mean, he's live. I think he still was live in the 18th round before. But like, 180s is kind of the range, I think. Here he went, 190s? Where'd McCaffrey go? Luke went 180s. Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's basically in the exact same spot he was before we knew he wasn't the starting slot. So 180s, 170s he can get to. It'd be fine. I've got enough Luke McCaffrey, so I don't know. There's a buying period for me. All right. What are these guys going to do? What are they going to give me back? Exposure's coming up as well, even though this video has taken years off my life with how lethargically both drafts have moved. This one is closer to 45 minutes, though, so credit to these guys. Faster than that last room. That's what I was thinking. See if Diami's still here. He is indeed. Diami Brown. I'm going to get to 8% Diami Brown in my last 25 entries. I'm going to guarantee that. So final team here. Did get our... honestly, should have taken Diami above those other two guys, but I just wasn't. The end game is still a thing I need to refigure out because it's moved a lot since I did my ranks last week, basically. We got Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams here at RB. We have DeAndre Swift, Tyjae Spears, Ezekiel Elliott, Chuba Hubbard, and Justice Hill. So all guys who theoretically have roles. Normally this would be a 6 RB team, but this couldn't be. At receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Debo, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed, Jalen Naylor, Ryan Flournoy, and Diami Brown. Flournoy is an awful pick, I have to say. Jalen Brooks, similarly live pick, I guess, if you want to do just the receiver who's not Jalen Tolbert, but it's thin no matter what. I knew it clicking it, but I just wanted to click somebody that was correlated. Jake Ferguson, Pat Freiermuth, Noah Fant here. So less micro week 17 correlations. Still got our game stacks. It's what we'll live with here. Don't care about these guys drafting. Let's go to the Best Ball Explorer tool. Actually, let's look at my exposures here first. Let's do it here first. All right, so exposures right now through 123 BBMs. I think we're going to get that next one in no matter what. Let's just go off of that. All right, where are we at? Should be showing 122. All right, so this is every draft besides my last one. So Marshawn Lloyd getting the CLV killing. Part of why I'm just not on Team Josh Jacobs because of Marshawn Lloyd. He's my only $1,000 player right now. 34% drafted in BBM. Top owned guy. Gonna get him down to 33% probably. He's not aligning for me to dollar cost down. But I think 33% Marshawn, I can live with that bet. If I get him lower, great. But I'm not going to avoid taking him, basically, is how I feel about him. Jaden Daniels been riding him the entire year, 32% of him. Terry McLaurin, same thing, 27%. Brian Robinson, the Washington bets now coming really more to these three guys than it is the other parts. But these three guys here, 25% for Brian Robinson. They're all above 25% for me. And Jerome Ford rounds out my top 5 at 23%. QBs overall, 32% Jaden, 20% free Derek Carr, who no longer has Taysom Hill taking QB snaps. It's huge for him, along with the fact that his contract makes so the Saints have to fucking run him into the ground, basically. Derek Carr, I've got too much of him for sure, but he's my QB3 a lot. He and Juwan Johnson were a safe click for me a lot of times. I think he is, he's not the skeleton key to winning BBM, but he is like a free thing that will give you points that's been available at BBM this entire time. Kind of like a Taysom Hill on DraftKings, on Drafters, like that sort of play. The irony, Will Levis, number 3 for me at 14%. Bo Nix, all of mine came back when he was free at 12% for me. And Stafford and Daniel Jones tied. So a lot of late QB selections here. Early guys, I'm just taking when it makes sense for the stack and when I can actually get them at reasonable ADPs. So a lot of guys I'm low on here that I like, but it's mostly just because of the way the structure works overall. To me, the stack dictates the QB. It's just how it should be, I think. And that's how I do things. Marshawn Lloyd, Brian Robinson, Jerome Ford, Bucky Irving here are my top 4. David Montgomery, rounding out the top 5. I've gotten less of him lately on stream, was at one point at 25%. No issue with him. Do you want to keep him above, 2x the field at 16%? But here we go. That's my RB room right now. And top 5, I think, is working besides Marshawn. So Marshawn's got a hit, but he's going to hit it a lot cheaper for you guys out there who are taking him in the 180s right now, 190s. Terry McLaurin, Luke McCaffrey, Christian Kirk, Keenan Allen, tied with Nico Collins, and tied with Jahan Dotson. The Dotson obviously going to come down for me. Marvin Harrison, Justin Jefferson. So big bets here on elite receivers, and then Dotson and Troy Franklin and Luke McCaffrey. But we got bets on guys here. Most of it is price-sensitive bets, which is the kind of bets I want to make. Though Kirk and Allen have lost some CLV lately because of the fact that Kirk's banged up, Allen's fat. Those are things driving those guys down, even if it's not really reliable. Ben Sinnott, my top exposed tight end. No surprises there. Been taking him for free for the most part. Taking less of him now, though, but he's a part of that Jaden bet. And that bet's looking better now. So I think the Sinnott bet or 12 personnel for him would be a good sign. And that can happen by trading away Jahan Dotson. Dalton Schultz, my number 2. The guy is going to benefit from just being a part of an offense that has a lot of guys going to be covered Again, a big part of football. Guys who are good around you open up stuff for guys who are less good, who don't get open quite as much. And Dalton Schultz gets open enough. So I think he runs hot in touchdowns this year. I think that's going to be, I mean, that's the bet, really. Spike week upside's the main thing, though. Trey McBride, number 3, elite tight end bet I like the most. Juwan Johnson is still mostly free. I'm in a lot of rooms. I think he's a great last-round pick at tight end. Brock Bowers, I'm above the field on him, and still have a good amount of Laporta, Fant, Jonnu, Ingram, all those guys. All right, Best Ball Explorer tool here. Where are we at on this stuff? My draft distribution. We are very low on 101s, 108s, and 109s. We've gotten very heavy on 105s by a wide margin. Our back half of the drafts here leveling out, but this is how you get to see the RNG for yourself. And the Best Ball Mania specifically here, I'm due a lot at number 8, it looks like. Do a lot at number 8, do a lot at number 9, and do some more at 101 and 103. But how much we'll get here, my final 25 drafts, who knows? Playoff stacks, you can see here. So Atlanta, Washington, I have the most. Rams, Arizona, second most. Giants, Indianapolis, number 3, surprises me. Vegas and New Orleans, number 4. Tennessee and Jacksonville, number 5. And you can see the way they're stacked up too, which QB is featured, which ones have both QBs. Not a lot with both QBs for me, because you really don't want to have 2 QBs from the same game. You want to capture different outlier environments in week 17. What else is interesting here? Pick tendencies. Receiver, receiver, receiver. Nothing too surprising there. And my most interesting teams right now, let's see. Highest CLV team right now is going to be which one here? My highest CLV team is from mid-July now. This is a different one. A team with Kyler, Jaden, Baker Mayfield, David Montgomery, Blake Corum, Gus Edwards, Jerome Ford, Ty Chandler, and Bucky Irving. Lamb, Mike Evans, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson. So 0 RB-ish start. Michael Wilson, Rondale Moore, 0. Oh, that's so tough. Taking a 0 already on my best CLV team. With Trey McBride and Ben Sinnott. So that's my highest CLV team, which you can see on this Best Ball Explorer tool. bestballexplorer.com if you want to check it out. And then a team I did just the other day is now one of my highest CLV teams. Wait, no, did today? What? How's this possible? Oh, this is a team I did at night, I guess. Yes, I got huge value on Baker, huge value on Fields, or big value on Fields, big value on Ramondre, Jalen Warren, Singletary, Gus, Ezekiel Elliott, Bucky Irving right at ADP, value on Justice Hill. They did extreme 0 RB here with Jefferson, Debo, Ayuk, Pickens, Godwin, and Jameson Williams, and then Sam Laporte and Kate Otten. So these are the values that are available in rooms right now, guys. So I've been drafting teams, as you guys have seen, on stream here for BBM since the moment it opened in April. I drafted teams since January overall. Despite all that, one of my best CLV teams here is a team I drafted, it says today, but drafted last night. So got to keep that in mind here. This is your best window to buy and to still build super teams besides doing it in May where it was guesswork. Now you can build super teams and have them be ones that have even better CLV down the home stretch. You get that stuff right. So Best Ball Explorer tool is a pretty good one. Player ADPs, I guess you could see. It's just overall movements. My exposure on here. Yeah, Marshawn, Jaden, same stuff you just saw, along with the average pick. Awful CLV on Lloyd. CLV on Jaden looking better. CLV on McLaurin hanging in there. Robinson looking good. Ford looking good. Bucky looking good. And then Derek Carr, doesn't really matter. Anyway, some of the stuff you can do looking at exposures. That's where I stand heading into the last week. Again, I'm just showing you my process gambling here. If you enjoyed this here, please subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Your engagements go a long way for me, a sole proprietor here on Splash Play. Just trying to make it work here, showing you my gambling on stream, why I make the picks I do, why I have the choices and the takes I do. And that's always what it's going to be here on Splash Play. When it's in season for DFS, same thing. It's just what I do here and how I view the game. And if you want to go along with it, great. And if you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you make a credible case, I think about it more. If you make a bad case, I mock you relentlessly. Deposit on Underdog if you haven't yet. Promo code SPLASHDOWN gets you $1,000 in bonus cash. The most bonus cash you will ever get in the biz is on Underdog. So check it out, $1,000 in bonus cash. Tomorrow will be a doubleheader on Drafters. I will give away one ticket. You should go sign up right now on Drafters and use that promo code SPLASH to get $100 in bonus cash. The big sales pitch there, the Drafters Million, which is a $15 entry fee and $500K to first place. That one is not going to fill. In fact, it's not going to fill by a pretty wide margin. They were estimating 75%. Looking at the numbers today, if I had to guess, 70% fill might be where it's going towards. If that's the case, you're talking about $500K in overlay going into that tournament, and all that money just basically gets redistributed amongst the people that have entries in. So keep that in mind. If you want to make your money go the furthest here, love the Badge Bros and their draft on Underdog, but I would say your money's going to go the furthest right now on Drafters. So check it out. Promo code SPLASH. And again, full point PPR on there, total points, no pods, no playoff pods, all of that. All right, we got a reading of names here. We got some new members. I'm drinking water for this because we got a lot of names. Shout out to all the fine folks who support the channel. You too can support the show down below. $4.99. You get a VIP Discord. You get my rankings, which are updated weekly. And going to be updated again at some point, probably Monday again. My entire data sheet, my news sheet as well, that I've updated since the beginning of training camp. And you also get 10 team reviews a month from me, which people are collecting hot and heavy right now. So keep that in mind here if I'm a little bit delayed in getting back to you. But shout out to all these fine folks who've supported the show. And again, get your name on this list too, and I'll read it every week. Robert Griffin III, Historical Anomalies, Matthew Emerson, Tyler, CLN, Mathology, Rupesh, Willis, Ivan, Tony Mark, Brandon Wagner, Consigliere, Aaron D. Nez, Jake Twitchell, fucking Alpha, Mr. I'm the KY, Kevin Castro, Lateralis, Legible Connoisseur, Short Gamer, Carlos Manzo, Chunk the Deuce, Gabe Davis, Thomas Schultz, Laces Out, Bolick, Spurious News, Jeff F., Craig B., Hoosier Devo, Jason Neff, Michael Thomas, Wounded Geese, Steel City Blue, W for Omega, C40, Artillery Frost, Benny, D. Owens, Meatwad, Kyle Zoo, Feeling Moosey, Nick Stevens, Mr. Poopy Butthole, Dylan Holzer, Dylan Courts, Rough Buff Fire, Joe the Show, Broncos 05, Best Ball Brian, M. Ryan Dolan, SCL Bree, Bob Hale, Independent Thinker, JBK Tampa, Paul B, Duke Dean, Adam Rockoff, Anthony Revela, Thomas Sauer, Tim Souders, Terrence, Mr. Mufasa, Curtis, Vicious, Chris Pointer, Matthew Prees, Dylan Gibson, ATX Bearcat, Dave Gladstone, DB Betts, Tyler W, Matt K, Kevin Genter, Ball King, Mr. Patrick, Chungabout, BGH Blitz, DT's, Best Ball and Call, Steve Nance Jr., Junior, how to specify that one, 283 Speed, Red Spike, his dad will never sign up for the channel, Disbanded Brotherhood, and Sean and Autumn. You've all supported the show today, and I appreciate you for it. And you too, again, please join all of that. Gamble responsibly. I'll be back tomorrow with more for more money time. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splashblade Pod. And again, gamble responsibly. Do all that. And I'll see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow for Drafters. So back at 11 a.m. Enjoy your days. If I don't see you again this weekend, enjoy your weekends. And good luck. Bye-bye.